Hey everybody, it's Vallen from Mischief of Mice, here with another Bit by Bit on Witchery. Today, we're going to be starting a small mini-series on the Cauldron. Not many people really understand how powerful, valuable, and a lot of fun the Cauldron can be. That's what we're going to be starting off today. I've just got this little cheat sheet up here so I can grab items quicker as I need them. And Assistant Timmy here will be helping us out as needed. Right, Timmy? Right. Anyway, so we're going to be kind of doing this Potions 101 style. But before we get into that, we're going to be doing some real basic stuff. First, you will need the Witch's Brews book, which is simply made with a piece of dirt, ink sac, feather, and a book. Now, I have covered these before in the Getting Started, but just in case people get a little confused or they need a refresher, it's right here. On top of that, we're going to need to make ourselves a few basic items. So we're going to need to make ourselves a cauldron, which is made with that. On top of that, we're going to need some snowbell seeds, mandrake seeds, belladonna seeds, and water artichoke seeds to make some anointing paste. Then we're going to need to take this over here and set it down, use the anointing paste, and make ourselves our cauldron. So I'm going to be using a brew of endless water, but feel free to use 3 buckets of water to fill it up. And there we go. Now, first thing we're going to be doing today, and actually what this whole episode is going to be about, is crafting with your cauldron. There are 3 main things you can do with it, and that's going to be the first part in the series. Opening your book, you'll find an introduction, brewing, cauldron rituals, crafting, all sorts of interesting stuff on here. If you go through your introduction, it does go through a few really interesting parts. One is how to make yourself a cauldron. The other thing is how to actually clear the contents. Now, if I have, let's just grab a mandrake root here, and we toss it in there, and I go, oh, you know what? I didn't mean to put that in there. Well, you can actually get, let's see here, a bit of quicklime, which quicklime, simple enough, is made by just putting a sapling of any type into a furnace and then taking that and putting it into a crafting grid. You get yourself quicklime. So it's very easy to get, but tossing it in there will end up doing a small explosion that won't hurt you or the environment, but may hurt others nearby. Thanks for the demonstration, Timmy. You've been a help. So, on top of that, you can also use gypsum. Actually, let me grab another one of these mandrake roots here. Toss that in there. And as before, if you don't want it to go in there, gypsum will safely eliminate that option so that you don't have those contents in there anymore. You don't have to any longer break the cauldron and redo it. You can just toss those in and have a little fun with it. Especially when you've got other people on a server, I think it's a lot more fun to have an explosion go off in your cauldron room than anything else. But make sure to keep your familiars and such farther away. I also recommend that if you're going to be doing anything with the cauldron, you should have a witch's hat and witch's robes, just so that you can, 1, keep yourself safe from creepers, and 2, so that you can get higher chances of getting brews while you're making things. Also, doesn't hurt to have yourself a familiar. This here is Wart. I did not name him. The system did when I made him. So, he's going to be joining us for the episode. He's just going to be sitting right there. Yeah, you can see his little feet are up, so his butt is down. There you go. He doesn't move very fast, but he's a nice guy. I like him. He's going to help you with a further bonus to your brew making as we proceed on. Back at the introduction, you can find crafting. That is what we're going to be doing. Here, it talks about ritual circles and proceeds to go on to lists. But first, we should actually go over ritual circles. This can help in other parts as well, but for now, it's a simple matter of white or red, which got the ritual chalk here. And we've got our Infernal Chalk. Now, if I were to just start putting these around here, it will actually, well, one would be where Timmy's seat is that he's sitting on. Obviously, that's a seat. That's not a bear trap or anything. That's a seed. But if I were to put a circle around here, that's going to stabilize any effects that may happen from the cauldron, as well as reduce some of the costs. Costs? Well, not material costs like putting things in. It's more along the lines of the ingredients will sometimes require energy from your nearby altar. And what that will do is reduce those costs. And this is just a moderate effect. There is another circle you can put around, and that is essentially 5 on either side, then 1 diagonal, then 5, and then 1 diagonal, and so on. And that will do the same as well, further reducing the cost and moderating any kind of negative effects. Now, if you go with Infernal Chalk, it will greatly reduce the energy cost from your altar, but at high risk to yourself. So keep that in mind. It also could possibly have a higher chance of failure with what you're trying to make. That's essentially what the book is trying to tell you there. So be careful, unless you want to have to get yourself another Timmy. It should be mentioned, you can actually alternate and have 1 ring in Infernal, 1 ring in standard Ritual Chalk, so you can mix and match those as you want to try and find the right balance for you. In crafting, there are a lot of different recipes and items you can do. To start with, boiled meat, which pork chop, beef, chicken, and pork chop can all be dropped into a boiling cauldron to cook. So I have my cauldron currently bubbling away, therefore I'm going to toss a pork chop inside. And you think, well, typically you get out Brews with a glass bottle. Well, no, in this case you just have to wait a moment, and it will, for free, cook that item. No cost of any kind of fuel or anything. So all that you lost in that was a little bit of water, which is easy and free to replace in the Minecraft vanilla universe. Next on the list is Mutandis, which of course is simple enough that you just add in mandrake root, Hexil, the horned one, and an egg, and you get yourself some Mutandis. One of the most basic and necessary items you will need for witchery is this recipe. Voila, 6 Mutandis. Next is Mutandis Extremis, a little bit more advanced and not quite as necessary, but it may be for more advanced recipes. Netherwort and Mutandis. And this will get you Mutandis Extremis. There we go. 1 Mutandis Extremis. Next is one of the more difficult crafting recipes that you will probably need more often than you would think. That is a drop of luck. 1 mandrake root, 1 netherwort, Tear of the Goddess, Refined Evil, and Mutandis Extremis. It should be noted that if you look at the book, it actually states on here the altar power costs on each of the items involved. Now, if you hover over something else that can go into a cauldron, it may also have an altar power. Don't get this confused that 5,000 is what's needed to make this item. That's what it costs for it to be used in some kind of crafting or ritual. Now, in this case, mandrake doesn't cost anything, neither does netherwort costs 50, Tear of the Goddess costs 100, Refined Evil costs 3,000, and Mutandis Extremis costs 1,800. So it's actually just shy of 5,000 is what is actually needed to make a drop of luck. Keep in mind, that's what needs to be in your altar. There we go. 1 drop of luck. Next up, crafting Otherware Chalk. This can be used for multiple circle magic rituals, and used in rites involving transposition. So, 1 netherwort, Tear of the Goddess, Ender Pearl, and Ritual Chalk. There we go, Otherware Chalk. Next up, crafting Infernal Chalk, which also can be used in different recipes for circle magic, or for use around your own cauldron. Now that's just going to be 1 netherwort, 1 blaze powder, and 1 ritual chalk. There we go. 1 infernal chalk. Next up, crafting golden chalk. This is usually the center part of most of the circle symbols. 1 mandrake root, 1 gold nugget, and 1 ritual chalk. Very simple. There we go, 1 golden chalk. And here we have a Mutating Sprig. This is used on many different rituals. Another wart, bent twig, and Mutandis Extremis. One Mutating Sprig. Nether wart. That's right, you can actually craft nether wart without having to go to the nether. Simple enough. Mandrake root, tear of the goddess, diamond vapor, ender pearl, wheat, and Mutandis. No one said it would be cheap. 1 nether wart. How do you make more endstone? Well, first and foremost you'll have to have some endstone, but you can double the quantity with a little bit of extra help. Mandrake root, stone, endstone, and Mutandis Extremis. There you go. 2 endstone from 1. What's that? Have too many witches' hands sitting around from all those witches that you killed at witch spawners? Well, you can actually turn them into rotten flesh. There we have it. 6 rotten flesh. This next one can be a lot of fun. Pit traps, though you'll have to have gone to the spirit realm. So, the first one, 1 mandrake root, 1 dirt, 1 tormented twine. And that will get you 4 of these non-solid dirt blocks. For non-solid grass blocks, you'll need 1 nether wart, 1 piece of dirt, 1 dandelion, and 1 tormented twine. And you can see I have 4 grass and 4 dirt. Now, just so that you can see the difference here, I'm going to throw this 1 dirt out, and if it was the same, it would go into the same stack, but it's not. It's labeled as the same thing, both dirt, but when placed down, form non-solid blocks that you can just walk right through and make pit traps of. So they are actually not there in any form that you can walk on or through, but you can still harvest them as you normally would, provided you're not in creative mode. And last but not least, we have the player compass, which is nether wart, tear of the goddess, vines, spider eye, and a compass. There we go. 1 player compass. Alright, so now that we have the compass made, I have asked Kashcah to join us so that we can demonstrate. Hi, Kashcah.
Hi.
Alright, so I have a few here, one of which is already bound to Kashcah, but to give an example, you will need a tag lock kit for this to even be applicable. So, whoops. And since I've already got one bound to Kashcah, let's bind one to Assistant Timmy over here. I'm going to put it in the crafting table with one of the player compass.
Oh, Timmy, that looks very painful. Hey!
Uh-oh.
What the what? I'm being attacked!
You got friends. Get out of here. You guys are not welcome. What the heck? Alright. Sorry about that, folks. Anyway, you can see here that this one is bound to Timmy. This one is bound to Kashcah. And that is what one looks like that is not bound. Would you quit sitting? That's his voluntary seat that he sits on.
I don't think that looks very voluntary. Just saying.
He's sitting on it, that's all.
He's not sitting on it.
Yes, he is. That's
definitely captured inside that.
That's how they sit on
things.
That's how they sit on things. Anyway, as I was saying, you notice this one here that's bound to Timmy. It seems to be just wandering all over the place. Would you stop?
Timmy, I'm trying to set you free.
No, he's
I'm
fine.
Sorry.
So,
Also recommend changing your name.
anyway, this will wander around all over the place. And the player compass actually will work. So it does have to be another player. They have to be on the server at the time. And they will have to be within about 100 blocks, or at least so that you can see them visibly from a long distance. That's about the distance that it happens. Actually, yeah, go ahead and sneak. Yeah, it still points where you are. So if someone's within range and they're hiding from you, then you could still use this to try and locate their position. But then again, by the time you find them, they may have attacked already. So, there you go. That pretty much cuts cuts? I don't know why I said cuts. So that pretty much ends this episode. This is just one part of many of the Brews, Potions, and Dedication to Professor Snape episodes. So we'll see you on the next one, where we go over the next section in our Witches Brews book. Hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, see ya.
Bye.
Ooh. Ooh.
Hey.
Whoa.
I get you. I will kill you with dots.
Oh. I kill you now.